When eating fruit, remember the one who planted the tree. Japanese proverb. Welcome back to Blurred Summits. Today on Gratitude Friday, we are going to be talking about those who helped us along the way. My name is Abdul, and I'm one of the hosts.
I'm Hudson. I'm also the other host. Just the two of us today, but we'll get through this.
So, Hudson, what does this quote mean to you?
Well, I mean, it sort of means like everyone's so concerned about the finished product that they seem to forget kind of like the effort and the support that they have when they go into making this product, or in the case of people, kind of like the support systems and things that we have on our journey to success.
Yeah. And they think that they're the only ones who are responsible for their success. I know I'm definitely guilty of this, where sometimes when I achieve something, I think that I'm the one who did it, when in reality, I was maybe a small factor to play in the big picture, right? Maybe I was just the one who executed it.
Well, yeah,
But,
that is
right?
that is a factor of it. Like it is always important to be the end thing, right? Like you can't do it without putting the cherry on top. But
Right.
I think that there's always something important in realizing who was there to help you support yourself to get you through to that journey, or if people kind of put the fundamentals, the building blocks underneath you, and you kind of put the last piece on top of it. I think, it's important to kind of look back and reflect and be thankful for all the people that were there and helped you complete whatever it is that you were doing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And the thing is about the tree, in this quote, it says, "Remember the one who planted the tree," is that you need somebody who plants the tree, but they need to nurture the tree when it's young and it's small,
Yeah.
right? That you wouldn't be able to even grow up and be the tree that you are that's producing these fruits if somebody wasn't there making sure that your soil was good and watering you every day and protecting you from the elements and making sure that you weren't crushed by someone, right? And so in these early stages where you were helpless and you were extremely dependent, there were these people who supported you along the way, and the importance of these people should never be neglected.
Yeah, I think sometimes like that, sure, that small early stages can be super short, right? And then people seem to forget about that since they go on and do things independently for so long. Yeah, it's super easy to forget about those people that do help you out with that. So I think,
Yeah,
looking back after you kind of complete something, or I guess in this with the proverb, you're eating the fruits of your labor.
right.
You're looking back and be like, who was it that helped me get to where I was back when I was unable to fend for myself, do things by myself? And being
Yeah,
thankful for those people, could be friends, could be family, parents, whatever it is, being thankful for them and understanding that they did play a key role in it, even though you might not have really noticed it too much through the later half of growing up as this tree in
who
respect to
was
the
it for
proverb.
you?
Well, that depends on what I was doing. Like, who was it for me?
In,
Probably,
like, let's say your values.
well, that's definitely my parents. So, like, although as you grow up, you kind of start to think that you are making your own decisions and sort of that side of things, right? You definitely are kind of like the water, the care, all that side of things. Your parents definitely sort of build that into you, sort of like your thoughts, your opinions, your beliefs, everything of that comes from those around you. I guess mainly family, but then you also have your friends, your support group around you, all those people. They kind of influence you with their beliefs, their opinions as well. So you kind of get this intermingling between parental beliefs and kind of social beliefs from your friends, and those two together are what kind of form my beliefs, right? Even though in the end, I am the one making the final decision, the one making the final say per whatever it is. They've definitely kind of put the effort in and kind of molded me in a direction that I wouldn't have been able to go in had I not had that support.
Yeah.
Who was it for you?
Yeah, for me, I'm trying to think in recent years, like definitely growing up, it's that family structure and that family system. I think culturally, I've been impacted a lot as well, just because, just generally in my culture, like a lot of my values that I have right now are deeply ingrained in my culture. For example, um, just small things like caring for the people around you, these kinds of things, the family structure, being there for even your extended family and your cousins and your uncles and all these people. Like that structure was something that is super important to me, and I think that's why I value it a lot nowadays. I could value it more, but that's definitely something that I'm realizing as I grow up that I really do care about. But I'm thinking in recent years, I think the people who probably I'm the most grateful for are those people in my life that will call me out on my BS. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Because I think I've been allowed to get away with a lot of stuff in my years. I've just been allowed to get away with um, things that I do and things that I say just because I did them and nobody around me really said anything. And so, in that sense, I was privileged. And there's some people who called me out on it and forced me to reflect on my actions in recent years, especially. And I think that's something that I'm extremely grateful for because if it weren't for them, then I would continue doing the things that I did and saying the things that I did without a second thought.
Well, yeah, if you think about that in kind of like relation to like a bonsai tree, right? So first, like
Mm,
you plant it, you're caring for it, it grows, and then you start to shape it, right? So
mm.
sure, some people can be the ones who water it, take care of it, but then it's a different thing to bend it and shape it in the way that it needs to be to kind of be the
And
best.
that's
So
where all
in
the
like
beauty is.
yeah, so like in aspect to how yours is like the kind of keeping you in check, calling you on your BS and things like that. That is the molding of the tree, right? Being like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
do this, follow this, kind of shaping you, I guess literally shaping you into the kind of the person that you are, being upfront, being kind of that side of things. The
Yeah.
shaping the wiring of the bonsai tree is kind of your friends, your family. I guess probably more so the shaping is more your friends, the planting, the watering is your family. So
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
look at it that way, where your friends are kind of shaping you, kind of little tweaks, right? Nothing major, just to kind of putting you where you need to be.
Yeah.
Just like
Like
the minor
truly
changes, right?
expressing the the character of the tree. The family is
Yeah.
there to establish a foundation, right? And the foundation is very important. Without a strong foundation, then you can't be a bonsai tree to begin with. But once
Yeah.
that foundation is planted, then where do the branches go? Which branches are going to be trimmed? Where, how is the root or how is the branches and the trunk of the tree going to be shaped?
Hmm.
I think that is a lot of your external influences beyond your family, right?
Yeah.
Your friends and your circles and those that you value in your life and your relationships.
Yeah. Well, even like with school and work, those definitely also kind of shape and shift who you are. I guess that is also kind of
Oh,
into the
a
social
hundred
aspect, but
percent.
the amount like what you're doing, who you're around, where you're working, all these things, like they build character. They put you through these external forces that you're kind of protected from before and sort of force you to fend for yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
they still do shape you into be like to improve, be better, right? Be stronger, be more mindful, do all these things
Yeah.
that then even like with you survive a storm, then you suddenly start to notice some of the things that your friends are saying more, understand where they're coming from, what they're doing, all these different things. All these factors kind of bounce around with each other, right? You go
Mm-hmm.
social aspect, molding the tree, rainstorm, something pushes you around, shakes you around, builds you stronger. They slowly build on top of each other and they just seem to be beneficial one on top of the other, no matter what order, to kind of get to that final product.
Yeah, because sometimes in the moment the storm seems like something that really sucks, but some there I've seen some pictures of some really beautiful, if we're gonna stick with this tree analogy, some really beautiful
Yeah.
trees which have been pushed around and now they have this really crazy shape, right? Have you ever seen those pictures? And
Yeah.
the tree is this very special thing now. And it wouldn't have been the special thing if it weren't for some resistance or some force that really pushed it. You know, maybe it was a storm, maybe it was a really difficult time, a dry season, whatever it was, that really shaped it to be this unique shape. But that's what gives it all of its
Well,
beauty.
they shape it, and I think with the storm, again, we'll stick with this analogy. It builds those roots. It digs you into the ground, right?
Mm,
So surviving those storms, it doesn't. It makes you way stronger, right? So the roots get deeper, deeper, deeper. So you get more structured, more secure. So then all
yeah,
these storms impact you less, and that risk of it uprooting you and just knocking you over decrease the further you go along as your roots get deeper and deeper and just stronger, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
What
through
do you think? What are some storms that you've had that you think in the moment they really sucked, but in hindsight, when you're looking back, you're realizing, okay, these actually built me to be the person that I am today.
well, I think a lot of them are like kind of like the battles with school, right? Like it's always
Mm,
kind of that battle for grades, sort of that side of thing. Sort of trying to balance that with the social side of things, I felt has always been kind of difficult, kind of school versus social sort of things. So
mm-hmm. And
whether
how
through
have you
weathering,
resolved it?
well, it's obviously most of the time it'll be trying to focus on school, but I always do try to find the thing of if I am free, if I'm not of it, I will always try to hang out with friends if they want to do something, right? Because half the time with that, it's a bit of a tangent, but it's like you never know what they're going through, what their battles they're going through. So if you be there, you can shape them kind of, again, back with the analogies, you shape them,
Mm,
help them weather their battles. And then I've sort of found like that sort of also helps you with my challenges, whatever it is relating to
right.
that. But back to, yeah, like the battles with school and stuff, it's always learning yourself to be tough, be more robust, be, I guess, more opportunistic, because with school, you always got to be kind of on your front foot, take advantage of anything that gets presented at you. So then you can persevere, get good grades, and sort of
Yeah,
do what you need to do, right?
yeah, yeah. I used to care about school a lot as well. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but in recent years, I haven't been caring. I don't know.
No, yeah, well,
Right.
yeah,
Or
that
not
was in high school
necessarily,
for sure,
maybe
but
caring is the wrong word to use. I
concerned.
still care, exactly, concerned, right? Like, I'm not as worried about it. And I think a big reason why is that it's not my entire world anymore.
Mm.
I don't tie my identity with it as much anymore,
In
right?
high school
Like
for sure,
from,
yeah.
yeah, like from before, a large part of my identity was attached to my academic institution. It's almost like
Yeah.
a cult, you know? But in recent years, it hasn't been as attached. And it's
Hmm.
pretty freeing. There are some positives and negatives, right? The positives being that I actually end up performing better
Hmm.
because a lot of, for example, test anxiety or result anxiety pretty much goes away when you
Yeah.
don't care about the it's not a part of who you
Well, you
are
you
to do
care.
well
It's
on a
just not
test.
not worried.
Exactly, right? Like
Like I
it's
think
not.
you always have to care. That's the thing, because then you get
Mhm.
complacent if you don't care. But
Absolutely, absolutely. And when I can detach my identity from the institution, it actually helps me perform better, right? Like I said, because now if I don't do well, it doesn't mean that I'm an unworthy person.
hmm,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah, it's not the end of the world
And
if you fail, or I guess
exactly, it's
don't
not the end of the
meet
world.
your
That's
goal or whatever.
and so um yeah, that's just a shift that I've been through personally. And now I tie my identity with not much. With not much. Somebody a friend of mine actually called me out on that. They were like, "Yeah, you seem to you seem to not care about anything." But I think they confused not being attached to the outcomes of certain things versus not
Yeah.
caring. You know what I'm
Lots of people
saying?
think caring is, yeah, end goals, right? Everyone's focused on their end goals, caring about where they're gonna finish, what they're gonna do for their job, grades, et
Yeah,
cetera, et
yeah.
cetera. But
Like
really,
I'm not desperate for these things.
really, you do care. You just care about what's directly in front of you. What's the next thing on in the journey, right? You don't care about the end product. You're like, okay, next
Yeah.
part. I guess
And should
we'll go back.
everything I have fall apart, it doesn't mean that my world falls apart.
Hmm.
I can still rebuild it and create something new out of it. And I think that's something where gratitude has to be a large part of our lives, because if we're always looking for this next step, or we're always attaching our, let's say, happiness to outcomes, then we're never able to appreciate the roots of
Yeah.
those trees, right? Only when you can really appreciate the roots of the trees, then you can not really care so much about the outcome, because you see how far you've gone and you see how amazing of a life that you are actually living, right?
Well, even yeah, back we'll go stick to the tree analogy since it seems quite on theme with this. Like with the gratuity side, it's like if you lose a branch of your tree, you can be thankful that you have all these other branches still, right? You have all these branches, you still have the roots, you still got the main tree, right? It's not always concerned. You don't have to have everything perfect at all times, right? And you don't have to rely on one set thing for your happiness, for your success, for anything.
Right.
So it's like if you lose one thing, you can be thankful for everything else that you do have. If you lose everything but one thing, you can be thankful again for that one thing that you do have.
Yeah.
As long as the tree still stands, there's something to be grateful for. Tree still
Yeah.
stands, you lose all your branches, thankful you have your roots. Thankful you've got something there,
It's the
something
cycle
to
of
keep you
life as
grounded.
well. Trees lose their leaves, right?
Yep.
That's the thing. Sometimes there's things in our lives that aren't meant to stick around. Like, it's unfortunate to say, but some things, they're like leaves, right? Once fall comes, once autumn comes, you don't see people yelling at the trees for losing their leaves. They just appreciate it. They say, "Wow, it's really beautiful." And the trees, and then the leaves go away, and they wait till the springtime to come around, and the tree and the leaves come back,
And look at them in the
right?
spring too. They look way better than they did in the fall, right?
Exactly. So, if we're relating that to our own lives, is that when you're losing some leaves, don't be angry at the leaves, right? That's just the way that it is. That's just the path.
It's the
And
pattern
so,
of
if you can
life.
appreciate those leaves and appreciate the cycle, then you can just be more grateful at the end of the day, right?
Well, yeah, like trees, yeah, they lose their leaves, new chapters, right? Think about that. Each year for a tree, winter, end of the chapter, spring, start of the new chapter. That's what it
Yeah.
is for anyone's life, right? You think
Yeah.
you're coming down something, it's like, oh no, I'm losing all my leaves. It seems like my world's falling apart, whatever, whatever. You go through this path of whatever it is, and it rejuvenates back in the spring or whatever your new season, new chapter is. It'll always come back. That's what it always is, right?
Absolutely.
Do you ever see a tree come fall, lose its leaves, and not come back? They don't come back in the spring. I mean, the only way that really happens is if they die, and
Yeah.
like that's really it, right? So as long as you're still kicking, you're still fighting, you're still doing your stuff, it comes back. I think that's the important thing is if it does things that are getting tough, you're losing your leaves, don't give up, right? If you give up, then you kind of
Yeah. It's
lose
just a
it.
matter of time before they
Yeah,
come
so
back.
it's, you keep going. You can be thankful for the process. Understand, okay, things going to come back bigger, better than it was before.
Absolutely.
Then they'll come back in the spring. You'll be thankful, new chapter, fresh start. Everything's back the way it's always meant to be, right? That's the path of life.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I think that's a very beautiful thing. I think we should end it off with this tree analogy. It's a pretty fantastic analogy to really think about, and I think it applies pretty on the spot with our lives, right? So, with that, we are going to bring this episode to an end. If you guys enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with someone who might benefit. You can also catch us on video format. The full episodes will be posted on YouTube at Blurred Summits. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Blurred Summits for some daily content and clips. You can also find us on audio format on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, as well as Pandora.